morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today that's going to really be about advancing your commercial insurance department and how we can help you do that. I think I'm going to have some really good tools for you as we go along. I've been at this for a lot of years. My name is Danae Augustini, and I am CEO of CID Insurance Programs. And we are a small wholesaler out of San Diego, California, and we are definitely, we do a great job. We get a lot of referral business as a result of our ability to be fast, responsive with questions, quotes, and offering knowledgeable underwriters. So let's get started. Oh, the same old logistics you guys probably are very familiar with. You'll be muted, but you can definitely hear. And then I'm a big proponent. Please ask questions. Chat, put them in the chat room. Just type them in, and I'll answer them as we go. So, because your questions are important to me, I want to hear from you. And then also, we'll have a short survey after the webinar that will pop up, and we again would appreciate your feedback as to how we're doing and what we can do better to serve you and help you. Okay, so let's talk about the objectives. You guys probably may not work from a sales equation, but I've got a really simple one that should make things a lot easier because it's a balancing act when it comes to securing. And I think of new business and renewals in the same light when I use it at the sales equation. So let's also you're going to learn a better understanding of how to manage your commercial book, and because we always get caught up in the doing this, and you have to really step back and look at the system that you've got in place, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then how to use the F word in business. So that, I know that's a really bold statement, but F represents three really good words that will be helpful to you, and we'll learn about those as well. So let's start at the beginning, the balancing act. Boy, so most of you are somewhere involved. You either started in personal lines, most likely, and then you dabble in life and you dabble in commercial. So it's important for you to take a look at your own book and honestly evaluate what you have there. If you want to try and survive on personal lines alone, you're probably not going to be very successful, and you're probably laughing to yourself out there because we've all been through the pain of that. I never was very interested in personal lines when I actually retailed. I skipped over it and went right to commercial because my background was business to business. So I think commercial business is a lot easier. It's less service intensive as long as you touch it once a year. It's a really that's where the action is. Life, on the other hand, you're going to have you need that balancing act. Your commercial clients will come to you for their personal lines, right? Their personal insurance and life. So I'm a big proponent on balancing, like building that commercial lines book, and then you feed your personal lines and your life production off of your commercial lines. But if you're too heavy in personal lines, it's going to be a challenge, and we're here to help you because you have to. A commercial is different. Personal lines is more one direction. It's like boilerplate policies for the most part, and commercial is a lot of different types of businesses, and you've got to learn how to write the insurance that they need. So let's talk a little bit more about that. How I start with commercial insurance is to understand that there's moving parts of the sales equation, and you have to pay attention to all three parts of it. So you start with an X date. Okay, you're going to get someone, a lead, a qualified lead. That's what we're looking for, and they're going to give you, like, my policy renews in January, right? You're going to get a date. So you want to be collecting as many of those as possible so that you have a lot in the hopper, because you got to have a starting point. You got to have the X dates is what drives the ability to make a presentation, and the presentations drive how many presentations drive how many closes you can make, and then ultimately what the bind order, right? So and you have to be working each of those parts, the X date, the presentation, and the close equally in order for you to be successful with production bind orders that are consistent and ongoing in order to build your book. Because you always will be losing some business. It's inherent. People go out of business. And your competition, you can't keep everything, but you can have a high retention ratio with your renewals. But you always have to be building new business. So the X date. So now we're going to break the sales equation down. The X date is really about profiling, going after business, and then you create like a filing system for your risk profiles. So you want to know what your weekly sales goals are and put your marketing plan into action. You want to be making contacts, so data mining in some way. Many of you will use a service that produces leads for you, but you're looking, and then you can make personal contacts, visit their businesses. You can participate in POS activities like a property management company is a POS. You write their insurance, and then you say, hey, let me take a look at all of your clients' properties and determine, and review the coverage and see if I can, you're insured accurately, and then maybe I can offer a competitive premium. So you can get apartments that way, you can get single-family homes that way, you can get condominiums associations that way, commercial buildings that way. So that's a wonderful area. So that's what a POS is. It's a point of sale. And you could also network. Group gatherings is a great place to meet people. And then if you want to specialize, go to a trade organization event. I have some programs for the community association industry. I've been involved in it for 30 years, and there's specific trade organizations that specialize in that, and you can go there and meet all kinds of contacts there. So those are ways to make those contacts. And then managing your profiles by a 10-week marketing schedule is important. So you want to be how far out, and by the way, you could develop a risk profile that an X date filing system that if you don't get it this year, you can always go back around and get it, offer a proposal the following year. So you have this inventory that you can always be working, and you want to be working at 10 weeks out. So you start your marketing style, 2.5 months out. You do not want the last minute type quoting. Generally is not successful. And if you really want to be working ahead in order to manage commercial X dating. So you want to build your risk and build a file. So I mentioned a system. So we have a recommendation that you gather all these, and you could do it electronically. You can do it by a manual, just a full cut file system that you label it with, the X date and the name of the named insured, and you can file them by month, and you could even, you can do that electronically or manually, however you're most comfortable with. But here's the things you want to include. You want to include photos, applications, a business risk profile, which we have some on our just a basic fill out, gather information sheet. We have some on our website that you'll find under resources. And then any information on the prior carriers, deck page, loss runs, and then keeping your carrier quotes, proposals to the insured, invoice, and finance agreements that you prepared. So you can always go back at it the next year, but you've got a lot of information available. So when you are ready to submit something to the end, for quote, you've got this applications, you've prepared it. There's a challenge with commercial, and there's all types of personalities, underwriters with different personalities. There's some people that are very black and white, right? And a lot of times your newer underwriters, that's how I can tell I have a new, I call them a green underwriter on my hands, is when, and that's one thing. We've got underwriters that have been with us for 10 years writing the same products. So that's, we solve that problem. You call them, they're gonna have an answer for you, and they're gonna know. They can see gray. So it's a good underwriter is not just going to be black or white. They can see gray, so they can see in the middle. So there's an opportunity for you to present, build a storyline for an underwriter, and be able to get them to say yes. Rather than when the guidelines might be vague or might not look like it would fit, but you see an opportunity because the exposure is slightly different, or the way they manage their, the safety or anything with their company makes it a more valuable risk for them to potentially say yes to. So that's that building of a storyline, and that's that we could help. Our underwriters can help you with that, but you just have to give them reasons why it makes sense to write the business. And sometimes you even have to do this when you're looking for credits. You really have to give them a reason to apply credits, because we don't want to fall, the smarter way to do it, and I'll be sure that you're going to get a yes or credits applied, is to be able to tell them a story and give them the reasons why it makes sense to write the business. What's the quality of the business, and what's the value of the business that would make an underwriter want to say yes? So let's keep going. So now we're moving on to the presentation. So okay, we submitted it to the underwriter. We're getting the underwriter to say yes, and we're looking at the presentation now. The one thing you want to look at first, because you should know something about who you're providing a quote to, and that who is that prospect. So we've got 4 different categories here, and it makes a huge difference whether you're going to be successful. So you can't treat everyone the same when it comes to who you're going to be presenting to. So let's talk about Rambo. Rambo's the aggressive, assertive. She's from the hip. They like to be in charge, right? And they are very confident in what they believe and the decisions. They make decisions on the spot. So they want to be given multiple proposals. So you need to evaluate whether you need to get 3 different quotes for someone like that, because that they want to see 3, and they're going to make a decision of the 3. They're going to make it. So, but then you go down to a Jimmy Fallon, and he's a bit indecisive. He wants your opinion, and think it is the best choice on what you think is the best choice. It's like, and so if he builds a trust level with you, then he's going to go with your recommendation. And so 1 proposal or possibly 2 would work well. So that's a big difference between Rambo and Jimmy Fallon. And then let's move over to Anderson Cooper, who's the analytical, questions everything, needs time to think about it. Some of these people, because they're not like you or I, they might think we may think they could drive us crazy, but the important thing is to understand how best to make a presentation to them. So he doesn't want to be pressured to make, about the sale. He would like you to leave 2 proposals and with some comparisons and informational material, and then make a return appointment, and then make a decision at that point. So interesting. All 3 of those so far are different. Well, and the 4th is even more different than the others. So Kim she's very trendy, latest and greatest, and has a mentality if everyone else is buying, then she should also. The keep up with the Joneses, that's an old line, but it still is meaningful today. So use nice linen paper. She wants a really pretty presentation. They want to be impressed. Don't push the sale, coach it, be her friend, and then she's going to buy from you because of the, you know, that she likes the presentation. So interesting, right? 4 different personalities. Think about that when you're thinking about how to be successful in making the sale with your prospects. And then let's talk about that presentation. What should it look like? Let's, I know that some people, too many brokers will just take the quotes that we send you and send that to the insured. And when you get into commercial, there's a level of professionalism that you really need to show that the client will respect. And respect and building a relationship are keys to getting the business and then being able to retain it over time. So you want to make sure that your proposal is professional. We have them, and we'll send you a link after the webinar to go look at our proposals. They're templates that you take ownership of. You can edit them. They're in Word documents, and the areas that you need to complete, for a template to be used over and over again are in pink, and you can just go to town. If you don't see what you need, make sure you reach out to us. But as well, on that proposal, you need to disclose the important things like broker fees, state taxes, if there's an inspection charge, is there an audit? So you always want to disclose, because that's a real surprise, if the policy is auditable. And then I'm big on being able to disclose exclusions, because you're always looking at your E&O exposure for your own agency, and the audits and exclusions are some of the areas where you can get caught because you didn't disclose what's not covered, and the main things. You don't have to go into the multitude of things, but the main things that could be confusing to the client. I always disclose those. And then have bind order subjectivity so that you protect yourself relative to what you need in order to bind, so that there's no confusion. Our proposal templates always have an invoice, right? You need to be able to close the sale. They need to have something to write it, to make the payment with, and then premium financing options. So, and then obviously be aware of required signatures, and and be able to get those in the moment as needed. So that's the presentation, and I know all of this takes time, and so it's really important to get it into a system type. That's why these templates are great, because they do create a template that you can use over and over again, and you need to be able to create a system that's efficient. Okay, and now the close. Okay, and trust me, you have to close these sales. Just putting quotes out there to proposals out to your potential insureds is not enough. You have to close. Whether it is over the phone, via email, and ideally, depending on the size of the premium, the larger the size of premium, you need to make an appointment and go see them. So you present and you close the sale. And I would, as often as you can, do it in person. I know there's a lot of small premium stuff out there that probably may not do it with, but as you get into larger premiums, this is super important. Be sure to address the benefits versus premium, because they're brainwashed to think, premium. So coverage benefits becomes a huge factor, and if you need help, our underwriters are there to help you differentiate that the benefits and the value. So, and what is a value-added proposition? And that becomes a little bit about you as an insurance agency and how you take care of your clients. So that alone is a value-added proposition, doing business with you. and then ask for the business. So you have to get. I probe a lot with questions. So I'm working around from different angles, trying to close a sale at the point where I have a clear understanding of where they stand, and then usual walk towards a close at because I've eliminated every obstacle by asking probing questions. And then again, if you obtain the signatures and payment at the time, and you've got a policy to bind, securing the bind. So now we got a policy to bind. So the one thing that a lot of our brokers get caught up on is the subject to bind conditions. You have to remember there's going to be subject to the bind conditions on the policy, and it's like you just need to be prepared. So you have to create a system for yourself for making sure that all of that. So if you've got an assistant that's working with you, everyone's got to be trained to function the same way, so that they're making sure the subject to bind, so that when you've been out to reach the client, see the client and close, that you know exactly what you need to get from the client in order to bind it. But you're going to be looking at those things, and you're going to need to send those to your underwriter as stated under the subject to bind conditions. And it's important to process the finance agreement, get those signatures done early, because it becomes, as you all know, it becomes a nightmare if you wait too long on the finance agreement. So having an agreement from the insured up front as to whether they would need to finance or because there is no other payment and they don't want to pay in full, having that all addressed up front, then you could come in with that finance agreement and get the signatures and bind all at once. It becomes such a hassle when you go beyond the effective date. PIN to ensure the policy is issued and paid. That's really important. That's your tracking system, because you want to make sure that you've been paid your commission, and you want to make sure that policy got issued. Because generally speaking, if the policy gets issued, it shoots out at the insurance company level to pay the commissions, and that's how it works in our system as well. But you have to check both. And then forward your proof of insurance to your new client and thank them for their business. That's as easy as it goes. So let's talk about obtaining new business. This is how we learned to track this, and we still do this as a wholesaler. You can see on the left side is a lot of people track it monthly. So there's 12 opportunities to track. Okay? But we learned to track it by week, which gives you 52 start dates. And the mistakes we learned by doing it monthly was that, oh my God, you get to the end of the month and you've got the whole month is like it wasn't successful. You got sidetracked, and you weren't with other things, which is easy to get caught up in the details and not look up and know that you've got to go work on new business as well as renewals and treat them equally. But we track and we publish our production weekly, so that we know where we are. We have 4 opportunities or 5 opportunities in a month to be able to say how did we do this month. So we know whether we're going in the wrong direction or the right direction, and we can turn the ship in the right direction. So you should be looking at what you've produced in new business each week. That's how I suggest. And you can set your Outlook up to track by week, so that you can actually there's a little place where it will number the weeks for you in your Outlook. So again, let me know if you have any questions as we go along. So managing your commercial book. New business, you need to have a marketing strategy. Remember those profiles we talked about, getting those X dates. You want to follow the sales equation, X date plus presentation plus close equals binds. And then you want to set weekly goals for premium and PIF growth. So PIF is policy in force, and your policy in force count needs to be growing. So again, as I said earlier, your renewal premium is going to erode. It's just inherent. So you have to be writing new business in order to have your agency continuously grow. And if it doesn't matter if you can grow a little bit each year, you just want to be growing. And then increase your fee income with broker fees and premium financing, because you can earn additional fees with those. And I encourage you to do that in the states that you are able to do that. And then renewal business. Treat every renewal like new business. I think I've said that already, but commercial renewal business is the service is really low unless you're in you're writing contractors and things that are just heavy service. But there's a lot of other types of business, and if you have questions about that, please contact me on that or ask a question about it of what types of business you would like to, because everyone sort of falls into contractors, but it's not necessarily the best commercial business to be writing because it's very volatile, comes and goes, and they're not the best business people, and what else? And there's a lot of service because there's a lot of endorsements having to be managed. But again, treat renewals like new business. Manage by reports. Print out your renewal from your agency management system. And if you're a farmer's agent, I would create an Excel spreadsheet where you each month manage your renewals by month. So you're printing them out 60 days ahead, looking at what's coming up for renewal, and then planning to get your proposals out to your clients by renewal proposals by 30 days, and then you do a follow-up at 10 days. So that's a great system we have. So if you have questions about that, you can contact me. And then please manage your policy audits. We will always make you aware of the policy audits that are happening with any insured that you have written with us. And so we actively bring you into the loop because audits can cause havoc, whether it's workers' comp or whether it's a contractor's policy or whether it's a garage policy. There's certain policies that are audited, and it could just be. Everyone knows you can lose the business, they'll cancel the policy, and then they take them to collections. All these things that they don't comply. So it's really important to understand audits relative to your insured. And if you have questions, our underwriters are available to explain that process to you. And then ask for referrals. I'm telling you, if you've got a happy client, that's the time to ask for a referral. So doing that on your renewals, and I don't know if I'm covering that here, but cross sells are really important as well. So that's a great time to cross sell. And we've got some great marketing templates that you can put your information on, like EPL or cyber, or maybe you have the package policy, but you don't have the work comp. So we have these great pieces that you can shoot out with your renewals that will be promoting cross-sell opportunities as well. And then we're coming up to the end here. The 5 mistakes agents make with staff. So you start out as a small agency, and sometimes you start out just with yourself, and you're trying to do everything, and you empty the trash, you're doing everything. You're just answering the phone, you're trying to handle new business and renewals, et cetera. So when it comes time to hiring someone, it's really important to duplicate yourself. Don't hire them to do just one thing. You need to duplicate them so that they could actually, they understand fully the things that you're going to do, and they're going to share and they can step in as needed to any part of the system that needs to be done in any given moment. So duplicate yourself. Don't hire someone to be your assistant, right? because they're going to be limited at what they're going to be able to do. And ultimately, you want to duplicate yourself so that you can go on to bigger and better things, and then they can be empowered. Um, don't this is a mistake to do a low compensation program. You need to pay someone for their value. However, hiring is a real art, and it, um, it by far take your time finding and looking for the person who has a great attitude, has all the skills necessary to do the job, and then compensate them fairly, because they will leave if you don't. Um, and then you have to be marketing. You always have to be marketing. So it's that your agency will fail if you don't market. And then last, I've been talking about systems. Systems are the key to success in business. You have to set up a structure. If you're not good at it, then that person that you hire, that would be a valuable tool that they have if they're really a great organizer of systems. So just keep that in mind as you are looking to build your agency. And then bad time management is just the kiss of death, and it's really important because we're juggling a lot. But if you only pay attention to the little details, the doingness, then you are going to fail, because you have to step back and you have to create that system structure and then keep looking at all the moving parts to make sure that they're moving and they're actually creating a result, right? That's what's super important. Hey, listen, I do this every day in my own company, so I live this, and so I hope that this can be of help to you. So now we finally got to the F word in business. So here's something that we found, and it's really simple and sort of corny, but it's amazing. It really works with people, because you get an irate person or someone who's really upset on the phone and they're just spinning out of control. And we have found that this works really well. You say, I know how you feel. I've felt the same way before, and so have others. Let me show you what I have found. And so those are the 3 F's, and they're good words, right? Feel, felt, and found. And they might be a little tool that might be helpful to you going in dealing with those difficult clients. So last, I think we're close here, managing your commercial book. What's the service aspect of it? As I mentioned, you need to be duplicating yourself, and all employees are part of the sales equation. Don't have them just be, a person who's answering the phone or just doing service. Everyone has to be part of the sales equation. And then work smart. Create those templates. Go get our templates. Use time management sheets with employees, and then use good judgment and problem solving. So that there's a whole art to that, and don't panic over situations. You have to look beyond the craziness or the crisis in the moment. And sometimes I don't. Sometimes I let something sit for a while before I actually because I recognize that I need to I have to stew on that for a while, because the answer is going to come to me. And then others, I use good judgment and looking at a solution for something. Teach everyone in your organization to use the F word in business, and then have a cancellation, a non-payment cancellation prevention program in place. Implement a payment follow-up system. We use one in our company, so we're always contacting you. You need to be using a similar system with your client. If you are a farmer's agent, you must set one up for your outside book. And independents, if you're not doing it, you really need, because if it's leaking out the back door because you're not you're not you're not reminding your insureds to make their payments, um, um, then ultimately your new business is not going to grow your agency because you've got too much going out the back door. So it's really important to prevent cancellations, and then work your renewals so that you retain them. And then cross-sell, as I mentioned earlier, is a super important part, whether incorporated in all aspects of your agency, from service to renewals to new business. Okay, so what did we learn? Got it? We talked about the sales equation and what it takes to secure the bind, and then it's how manage your commercial book. It's really important. And then think about how you can use the 3 F words to handle difficult situations where um, calming the client is really important, and getting them to listen to reason. So that's the end of our webinar. I hope that you got some valuable tools. Make sure you visit our website. We're designing a new website. It's going to be as easy as our current website, but we're just upgrading it a little bit, putting some upgraded photos on there, and you're going to love it as much as you love our current ease of use website, CIDinsurance.com. And you'll find applications, educational tools. All of our webinars are there. You can watch recorded webinars, and then you can look for new ones that we will be presenting. And our schedule for 2020, I believe, is out already. So you can get yourself ready for the new year, because it's going to be here before you know it. So thank you all for joining us. And again, reach out to us if you have any questions. We're here to help you, and we would love to do business with you. And we thank those that are doing business with us now. We thank you for your business. Take care, everyone. Bye.